everybody. Welcome to our evening session. We are looking and taking a bite out of crime. We're moving through Say No, Just Say No, to now talking about our 3 Strikes You're Out, which is a system that was created by Mike Reynolds, where his daughter was attacked and offed by a pretty much rap sheet like Ahmaud Arbery and others like, what's that guy's name? I Can't Breathe, whatever his name is. So the 3 Strikes You're Out put a criminal in prison for life, which I honestly, personally feel like they should just be put in the gas chamber, but that's just my personal opinion. On this, he had to fight the government for his voice to be heard, and he actually has a book out if you're interested in reading it, 3 Strikes You're Out, A Promise to Kimber, by Mike Reynolds. It's how he dealt with the government, which was Democrat at the time. And it gives you a list. I won't give you the list of what it initiates when it comes to criminals, but it's basically taking criminals off the streets and putting them where they belong. And this is a no fear policy of not being afraid of the parents of the child who were child abusers. An example is in 1993, we had 4,095 MURDER. And in the next year, after 3 Strikes You're Out, that number dropped over 1,000. So it went down, well, it dropped about 400, 3,699. But you have to remember that was 1 year, and there still wasn't a lot of trust in the system. 68,265 fewer robberies, 33,859 less aggravated assaults. So if you take a look at all the different crime rates out there, the 3 Strikes You're Out rule actually made a difference in crime. But as you can see, Kamala Harris currently doesn't believe in 3 Strikes You're Out. She actually doesn't believe in putting people in prison at all. She actually lets people abuse the system and abuse by stealing $900 worth of goods from stores, and nothing happens to them. So you could take a look at her crime rate doesn't exist because she doesn't put anybody in prison. She allowed riots in Minnesota where she actually created a fund where she got criminals who have a long rap sheet out of jail. And we all know the list goes on and on, as we've discussed in several different areas of how she's disintegrating the population and living in a pie in the sky of Hollywood smiles and facades of democracy. When the only thing that what I just said, the only democracy at risk is the American citizen. Yes, we want large deportations of migrants because they're here illegally. You haven't done squat for anyone. You just smiled and slept with the right person to become the Attorney General of San Francisco. I want to bring into attention to stop crime and rebuild the family. Bill Campbell of Atlanta, government is not the issue, he says. It's really the breakdown of the family structure that is a critical ingredient propelling these kids into a life of crime. Incredibly and shockingly, Jesse Jackson didn't believe that. He thought Campbell from Atlanta was full of crap. He wanted assessment and focus primarily on the ways government could spend more money on anti-poverty programs. So that's throwing money at the problem, on ways government would spend more money on anti-poverty programs. Every 3 years in the projects, they get new stoves and ovens. Even if they've got working stoves and ovens. So it's not the location, it's the people living in the homes, because all they want is money, because that's what Jesse Jackson tells them that they deserve. He wanted more recreational facilities so that he could create more LeBron James. And more money in whatever he thought. He said Mayor Campbell is right, and neither Jackson nor the other mayors on the show could see the evidence staring them in the face. People don't commit crimes because they need a place to shoot hoops. Crime is not the result of a lack of government education or a lack of government. People turn to crime because it's a breakdown of the family. The family is where people are supposed to learn values and virtues, the importance of hard work and discipline, self-respect, respect for others, morality, faith, and family love. When the family breaks down, the children have no place to learn these things. And that's what we're actually seeing with TikTok. So these parents are exploiting their kids, but what they're actually doing is they're exposing themselves as the parents that are literally getting attention for abusing children, but it doesn't really look like abuse because everybody's just kind of sitting there going, where's my paycheck? According to Fagan of the Heritage Foundation, there's a clear link between the breakdown of marriage and the incidence of crime. And that's a little tidbit of that. And then I wanted to read this to you because I thought this was extremely important. Liberalism approaches crime from a false premise. Liberals believe that poverty causes crime. Poorness, being poor, causes crime. And that if one could eliminate poverty with a government program, crime would disappear, and that would be Kamala Harris, would it not? If you believe that economics determines behavior, as liberals do, you will seek only economic solutions to behavior problems, such as big spending government programs to buy off criminals, or show them up at the DNC so they won't commit crimes anymore. We conservatives know that it's not economics, but values and character that determine behavior. Takes self-discipline, responsibility, work ethic, commitment to education and personal improvement, willingness to defer short-term gains and instant gratification in order to achieve long-term goals. Let's take a look at Mona Van and what are we seeing with her criminal acts and behaviors. And take a look at Valeria as well as Melissa Wood. Do they have self-discipline? Do they have responsibility? Do they have work ethic? Do they have commitment to education and personal improvement? Or do they have willingness to defer short-term gains and instant gratification in order to achieve long-term goals? If you take a look at all of Mona Van's content and what she's produced, she doesn't represent any of those things. And then we'll read from the book again. It's easy to see why liberals are confused into thinking that poverty causes crime, because crime really does tend to flourish in poor sections of every American city. But the fact that poverty and crime tend to concentrate in the same parts of towns doesn't mean that poverty causes crime. They're protecting themselves. The fact is, crime also tends to flourish in the parts of town where the most federal money is spent, like Mona Van's house. Around the housing projects and places where you find heavy welfare dependency, rent subsidies, food stamps, and WIC. You might as well say that government spending causes crime. We have to look deeper for a real cause and effect linkage between poverty, federal spending, and crime. And here is the root cause of all of these problems. A breakdown of values and virtues rooted in the breakdown of family. So now we're noting that Mona Van has a breakdown in family. This is not to say that all poor people have rotten values and rotten families. There are many poor people out there who live honestly, like Kobe Bryant, work hard like J.D. Vance, and love their families, but for one reason or another, they haven't made it in life. However, those people that I just demonstrated are those that made it in life. We have to be powerful. We have to be careful not to overgeneralize. But I think it is fair to say that some poor people, and certainly those who are trapped in a multi-generational cycle of dependency on government checks, are poor because they lack the values and are enablers for themselves. And then the government enables them so that they can get your vote, or Mona Van can get the Spread Eagle platform photo shoot so that all of nobody can sit there and look at her while she just uses it as a form of attention grabbing because she has a poor family, no work ethic, no discipline, no responsibility, no commitment to anything. She has nothing to offer. She's literally a criminal, and I just demonstrated it. It's all stemming from her mother and father who stood at the front row at VCon. She's a child. And that's a fact. Selfishness, lack of empathy, and attitude. I am entitled to what you have. and I have the right to take it from you, and that's Mona Van.